Hello guys, welcome to our video. In this video, we are going to take a look at arrays and strings. So what are the arrays? Arrays are the part of the reference type which stores the reference on the stack and the value is stored in the heaps. Here we can see it is a fixed size and sequential array. Then the value will be stored in the heap. Then the complete memory allocation will be a fixed size memory blocks. Here we have defined the array of length 6 where the index starts from 0. This can be called a sequential array. By this you can access each item in the collection by passing an index. So this is the one type of array called linear array. Then here I have classified arrays into three types: one-dimensional array, multi-dimensional arrays, and jagged arrays. So this is the one-dimensional array. One-dimensional arrays are the simplest form of the arrays. This type of array contain only one row for storing the values. Here all items in the one-dimensional arrays are stored in a row starting from 0 to the size of the array minus 1. It can be called a single-dimensional array. Like here we can see how to define the arrays and its syntax. There are three different ways to define the array. First we have int is a data type, then arr is the name of my array, and here new keyword allocates the new space in the memory location. And the 5 and the number 5 is the number of blocks. Let's see the example of one-dimensional array. First here we have created class array 1D. Then inside static void main we have defined one-dimensional array where int is our data type, arr is the name of array, and new keyword is used to allocate new space in the heap, and 10 is the number of blocks. Then we declare int as I. Then we have for loop where I equal to 0, I is greater than 10, and I plus plus. If the condition is true, array of index I will be stored till the condition is false. Then the next for loop is used to print the output in the console. So this is the output of one-dimensional array where its index and its value. So let's see what is multi-dimensional array.
What is a multidimensional array? A multidimensional array is the one that has two or more dimensions and access each element using a combination of two or more indices because each row's length is the same. It is also known as a rectangular array in C#. It can be 2D, 3D or multidimensional array. A nested loop is required for storing and accessing the array's value. Next, what is the two-dimensional array? A two-dimensional array is the simplest type of multidimensional array. The placement of any specific element in two-dimensional array is determined by two indices. If you imagine a two-dimensional array as the table of data and one index represents the row and the other column. Here we are given 4 rows and 4 columns which are given the positions to the 2D array. Next, how to initialize a two-dimensional array. As we are reference type, the new keyboard is used to make a new array instance. In the syntax, we are given data types, array names. In the next line, we are initializing the 2D arrays with values. This is how we can create a 2D arrays. How to store and access contents of 2D arrays. We need a nested loop to store and access the array element. We first initialize the 2D arrays of 4 rows and 2 columns. Then we declare two variables I and j for transferring through the arrays and v for placing the values in arrays. Next, we use nested loop so that we can enter the values in the array. Once the values are entered, we need to check if they enter properly. So we are trying to retrieve it again. For it, we need to use nested loop and access the value in arrays.
Hello everyone, in this part we are going to see the three-dimensional array. In the previous part we have seen the 2D array. Now we are looking forward to study the 3D array. A 3D array is a collection of 2D array. Here the location of element is specified by 3 indices. One index indicates box size, second indicates row size, and third indicates column size. If things get complicated in understanding the structure, imagine the structure of Rubik's cube. The multidimensional array can be declared by adding commas in the square bracket. If we add one comma in square bracket, it will declare 2D array. If we add 2 comma the square bracket, it will declare 3D array and so on. As we focusing in 3D array, let us take the example of 3D array. Int having 2 comma square bracket, new int 2 comma 2 comma 2. This statement will indicate that it will consist of two such two-dimensional array that each will have 2 rows and 2 columns. Let us take the another example of array having two such two-dimensional array that each will have 3 rows and 3 columns. If we want to access the element in second row and third column of first 2D array, in order to do that, we have to specify something like this: array of 0, 1, 2. Here 0 indicate first 2D array, 1 indicate the second row and 2 indicate the third column. Then finally, we want to access the particular element. Here is the element column which is colored in red. How to store and access content of 3D array? For initializing the array, we use nested for loop. The outermost for loop is used for dimension. Inner for loop used for row size selection, and innermost for loop used for column size. Here we store the element in the array. For the output, we use nested for loop as we use in the initializing the element in the array. Here is the output.
So, what is a jagged array? A jagged array is a 2D array which can have multiple arrays inside it. So basically, it stores multiple arrays inside. And since arrays are stored in continuous memory location, even jagged arrays element data are stored in a continuous memory location, and so it is also used to store multiple rows of data. So one of the benefits of jagged array is that the arrays inside the jagged arrays can be of different sizes. So it means that each array can be of different lengths. It can contain different number of elements. Next we'll see how to create a jagged array. The syntax to create a jagged array is this. So we see the data type followed by two box brackets to mention that it is a jagged array. And then we see equal array name, and then we see equal to a new keyword, which is a mandatory to create an array, any arrays. And then we see int, and followed by two box brackets, and here we mention the size of this jagged array. In this case it is 2. Then we need to declare the sizes of each array inside this jagged array. For that we see the array name, that is the jagged array, and the 0 element, which denotes the first array in this jagged array, and we assign it a size of 4, and the second jagged array we assign it as a size of 3. Now to define the values of each array, we say again the array, and we say 0 or 0. So the first 0 here denotes the first array in this jagged array, and the second 0 denotes the first element of the first array of this jagged array, and we assign the first element's value to 1, and the other 3 are 2, 3, 4 consecutively. And then we again, for the second array, we say 1 of 0, jagged array 1 of 0. So here 1 denotes the second array of the jagged array, and we assign the values as 1, 2, and 2. Now to traverse through a jagged array, we must use nested loops. So here we have used a for loop. So it says we declare a int I variable to initialize it to 0. Then we say the condition as I less than the array length. So the array name is jagged array, so I say jagged array dot length, and then increment I. And then inside we create another array. Since this is because we are having arrays inside this jagged array, so we create another array, and I named it inner array, and I assign its value to the ith element of this jagged array. So this inner array will now, at the first iteration, the inner array will contain the first array completely. And then I start another for loop and initialize another variable j to 0, and say j is less than inner array dot length. So this is the new array which we created before this, and we set it to inner array dot length, so it can traverse to the entire inner array and print it in the console. So the output of this will be the one you see in the right side, the picture you see in the right side. So we have the first array with 4 elements and the second array with 3 elements. And both these arrays are inside a single array called the jagged array.
Before starting off with assigning array references, we must know what is a reference variable. So, it is a variable which refers to memory location of an existing variable instead of its value. Now, whenever such variables are created, no new memory location is created for them. Instead, they just act as an alternative name for an existing variable. So now let's take a look at the example of reference variable. Now, here what we do is we create an integer variable and assign value 2 to it, and then what we do is we print the value just using console.writeLine. Now, what we do is we call the function named as cube and pass a reference of the variable in it. What the function does is it cubes the value which is passed as the parameter, and then later when the operation is performed, what we do is we again print the value of the variable v. Now what we see in the output is value before was 2 and value after is 8. Now the whole operation, that is the cube which is being generated, is performed at the memory location. Now we come to our main topic, which is assigning array reference. So and the first thing which we need to know is arrays are of reference type in C#. So a question will arrive in your mind, how we assign a reference of an array to another. It is simple. We just need to assign one array variable to another array variable. You can have a look at the syntax for better understanding of it. Here we declare an array int arr1 and we assign it to arr2. Here in this concept, no new array is created. Neither contents of one array is being copied to another, but instead both the arrays created will point to the same memory location. Let's take a look at the example of assigning array reference. So first we create two arrays arr1 and arr2 and then assign values to them. Next what we do is print those values. So you can see in the output screen the first two lines, we have assigned those values to both the arrays. Next what we do is assign array1 to array2 and then print the values of the arrays. Now, so you can see now both the arrays have values starting from 0 to 9. To conclude with the final step that both the arrays point at the same memory location, what we do is we change the element at the index 1 of array 1 to 11 to see if it works. So what we see is when we display it after performing it, we can see both the arrays have 11 at their index. So with which we can conclude that both the arrays point at same memory location.
Here I am going to say about the two topics. So let's start with the first one, that is length properties of an array. The length of the array is the total number of the elements contained by all the dimensions of array. The length properties of objects, which is an instance of type array sets, or return the number of elements in that array. The value used is unsigned and 32-bit integers, that is always numerically greater than the highest index in the arrays. And the syntax is array name dot length, that is the array which we are using. For example, in this code we have declared array of name months, then we are assign all the month name as the value of the arrays, then we are printing number of month, then it will displays the number of elements present in the array by using month dot length. Then we are using for loops which will traverse through the array so that it will display all the elements present in that array, and this will be the output for this course. Then the next topic is length property with jagged arrays. All array have length properties that returns the total number of elements in an array. But a special case occurs when length is used with jagged array. It is used to obtain the number of rows of jagged arrays. So in these examples, we created a jagged array ARR
Then we are assigning the values for each array by using curly braces. Here we are using two for loops. The first for loops which will traverse through the main array ARRR, then the second for loops which will traverse through the each array inside the main array. Then it will print the value of each element in the arrays. The second console.writeLines which is used to go to the next lines. The third console.writeLines which is used for the number of rows in the jagged arrays. And this is the output for this code. Thank you.
Today we will be talking about implicitly typed arrays. So implicitly typed arrays do not contain any specific data type. In this type of array, when we initialize the array with any data type in it, then the compiler automatically converts these arrays into the data type which are present in that array. So generally the type of variable is determined by the compiler. C# comes with the ability to declare implicitly typed variables using var keyword. Similarly, implicitly typed arrays can also be declared using var keywords. It is necessary to initialize implicitly typed array have to be the same data type or compatible data type. All type of array like one-dimensional, multi-dimensional and jagged arrays etc. can be created as an implicitly typed array. These implicitly typed arrays are used in the LINQ expression, that is language integrated query. Language integrated query is an API that provides querying compatibilities to .NET languages with a syntax similar to SQL. So how to initialize an implicitly typed arrays? The syntax for it is var the variable name is equals to new square brackets, then we will be adding the data in the curly braces for the array. So for example, var then the array name ARR is equals to new square bracket, then we will be adding integer values in the curly braces. So this will create an array of int that having an 7 elements long. A reference to that array is assigned to ARR.
Hello everyone, now we are going to see the topic for each loop. So what is for each loop? It is a loop through which we can traverse through all the elements present in a particular collection. A collection is just a group of objects, for example an array. Here is the syntax for the for each loop. So let's see how the for each loop works. Firstly, we have the data type, then we have the iteration variable name, then we have the collection name, for example an array name. Firstly, when the loop runs, the next element of the array gets assigned to the iteration variable. Then, when there is no element present in the array, the loop ends. Importantly, the iteration variable is just a read-only variable. It means that we can't assign any new value to the iteration variable in the loop. So let's see some examples for the for each loop. Here is an example where we have the integer type variable sum which is assigned as 0. Then we have the array nums and we have assigned it the value 0 to 9 using the for loop. And inside the for each loop we are printing the each and every element of the array using console.writeLine, and we are adding those elements in the sum variable, and at last we are printing the value of the sum using console.writeLine. So this will be the output for the following program. Let's see another program in which the searching method is done across the array nums, where the value 11 is being searched throughout the array, where the val variable has been assigned as 11, and it is being checked in the for each loop. If x equals to val, then found is equals to true. The boolean variable found, which was initially false, is turned to true. And in the next if condition, we are seeing that if the found value is true, then the value is being found. If the found value is false, then the value is not being traced. So in this program, the output will be value not found, as the 11 value is not been assigned in the array.
String, it defines and supports character strings. In C#, strings are objects, hence strings are reference types. They are usually created with the help of double quotes. Here, a simple example of creation of string is displayed. Next, we can see that we can also create string with the help of an array, and we can pass that array as a parameter to the string constructor. And here simply we are displaying both the strings, as you can see. Now let's see different operations that are performed on strings. The first one is a compare method, in which we compare both the strings are equal or not. If both the strings are equal, it returns 0, or else it returns negative if the first string is less than the second string, or else it returns a positive if the first string is greater than second string. Equal is equal is similar to the compare, but the difference is that it either returns true or false. The next is index of. It returns the position of first occurrence of the substring in the main string. It returns an integer value. This method is similar, but the added parameter tells us how the search is conducted, specified by comparison type. The next method is last index of method, which is opposite of index of. It returns the position of the last occurrence of the substring in the main string. This method is similar to this method, but the added parameter tells us how the search is conducted, specified by comparison type. Two-lower method allows to convert uppercase character of string to lowercase. Suppose if string already contains lowercase, then there is no change. Then there is two-upper method allows to convert lowercase character of string to uppercase. Now let's see with the help of an example. Here we are creating 5 string variables, that is str1, str2, str3, str up and str low. Str1 and str2 have the same content. Then we are simply printing the str content of str1, and in the next line of it we are simply printing the length of str1 with the help of length method. After that, with the help of two-lower method, we are simply converting the content of str1 to lowercase, and with the help of two-upper method, we are simply converting the content of str1 to uppercase, and simply printing both the conversions, as you can see in the output. Now let's see. Here we are simply printing one character at a time of str1. For this, we are using a for loop and str1.length method, and simply printing it, as you can see. And here we are simply comparing the two strings with the help of equal to operator, not equal to operator, and these comparisons are ordinal. That means the comparison is solely done on the value of the characters, and using the if conditions and operators, we are simply printing the respective outputs that is displayed here. Then here we are simply comparison is done, that is the comparison is culture sensitive. That means if two strings are sorted related to the cultural norms, and we are here using the compare method, which returns an integer value, that is either 0 or positive or negative, and simply the respective output is displayed here. Now we are creating another string, that is str3, and the content of the str3 is 1, 2, 3 and 1, and we are performing a search operation with the help of index of the first occurrence of 1, and with the help of last index of method, the last occurrence of 1 will be displayed, as you can see the respective output.
So now the next topic is about arrays of strings. So basically we can create an array whose data type is of string. So let's take a look at this example. As you can see here, it's very simple to create an array of string. We just have to provide string as the data type of the array. It's as simple as that, and like any other array, we can modify its elements, just like we can see here. Now let's take a look at the output. So as you can see in the output, the original array, this is what we have put in the original array, and this is the one after we modified it, just like any other array. So now let's take a look at the next topic. The next topic is strings can be used in switch statement. Strings are the only non-integer data types which can be used in switch statement. We cannot use any other data type like float or any other data type. So let's take a look at the example code here. So here we are creating a string of array of string, and inside the for each loop, where we are putting a switch statement which takes the which takes its input as a string. So here we can see this what this switch statement does is it takes the input as a string from the array of string, and then it prints the integer value of it, as we can see in the output here. So yeah, 1 2 3 2 1. So yeah, that's how we can put a string as an input to the switch statement. We cannot use any other statement, any other data type. So the next topic is strings are immutable in C#. So it is actually an important property of strings to be immutable in C#. Immutable basically means that if they are created, they cannot be modified, and it is implemented in this way so that the C#, the programs written in C# are very efficient. To overcome the obstacles created by immutable nature of strings, there is a inbuilt method called substring. So let's understand it with the example. So here we are using the substring method. So what substring basically does is it creates, as the name suggests, it creates a substring of the already existing string. That is, if we want to use a part of the already existing string, then we can make use of substring. So it has the substring method has two parameters. The first one is the starting index from which we want to copy from the already existing string, and the 12 is the number of indexes till which we want to copy from the original string. So here in this example we can see that we have this string called C# makes string easy. So here we are copying it from the 5th index. So which is the 5th index? 1 0 1 2 3 4 5. So we are copying it from k till the 12th index, that is it ends here, that is no, not till here, that is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So yeah, as we can see, it ends here. So it basically makes a copy of this part of the already existing string and returns it. So here we can see in this output. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we enjoy making it without any stress.